There's definitely an underrepresentation of women in the music industry.
We spoke to multiple women from various paths and points in the music industry to hear what they have to say about the underrepresentation of women in the music industry.
But yeah, I feel like there seems to be a gap. Like there's not support for women to get from like the level where I see them to sort of like more highly paid and better represented levels.
There are very many gigs that I play where I am the only woman on the whole lineup of any of the bands or like the production team on it. Often that's quite an intimidating environment. Like if you know there are people not representing you putting on the gig or in the gig.
Even going to gigs as a child or going to festivals as a punter and as an audience person, you hardly see any women up there, especially I'm 25 now, so when I was younger I never really saw many, even going into pubs or watching live bands in just like your local workmen's club, it was really rare to see women performers there. So I guess not having that role model to look up to was probably a big factor in that, definitely, yeah.
The farther you get up, the less representation there is. And I don't have any reason for like thinking why it might be, but I suspect there's an element of just like people, like women, not seeing themselves in places at the upper levels.
In the dance music chart, only 5% of DJs are female or non-binary, while 58% are male.
I think it's really important to encourage women and gender minorities and ethnic minorities into dance music, because when you look at the ratio of white males headlining, it's really disproportionate to the general population.
But then I think I feel like there needs to be a conscious effort to support women in the industry and for festivals to be like actively trying to book people, I'd say. And sometimes that gets criticized as like, well, people should earn it or whatever, but I don't think that's quite right.
A question and something that I often ask myself is, to what extent do you want to just hand people opportunities on a plate because they're part of a gender minority in dance music? And I think that's something that like a lot of people would ask when I talk about how important it is. And I often respond to myself by thinking, okay, well, females and non-binary people make up around just over, I think, 50% of the population, but in electronic music and dance music and in the electronic music industry as a whole, we're really underrepresented, making up about like 10-20% of festival lineups, so there's obviously kind of definitely a need to provide additional opportunities for people and women in music, just to be able to kind of give an equal playing field.
I think bands need to do more at the top of their gigs. They just sort of state the expectations of safety within the crowd and everyone involved. But I still have had like very recent like experiences that would not be good and would not happen if there was more representation in the industry, I think.
Women only make up between 5% to 7% of audio engineers in the UK.
When I was sound engineering, so I put on an event at 45 Vinyl. It was my first event, so I sound engineered, I promoted, and I put on all women so it was like a level opportunities showcase as well. So I got women who had helped me in the studio, so I recorded their songs. One of them came up to me afterwards and said, "I can't believe you put reverb on my vocals when I asked you to." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "It's so rare that I'm listened to when I'm performing on stage." Because a lot of the time, the person behind it is like a sound engineer, and they have this air about them that's, "Oh, I know best," and "Oh, I know what I'm doing, love." And she was like, it was so important that my songs got put across in a way that I wanted to.
I think when you have that added extra of being a minority in music, it gives you that almost extra lack of confidence, if that makes sense. So it can be quite hard, especially when you're in quite a senior role, to be confident in what you're doing and confident in a room and in a space.
Sometimes it can be difficult for women to be like very assertive and say, "No, I want it like this." But as soon as somebody says, particularly men, "No, I think it should be like this," it's often difficult for women to turn around and say, no, I think you're wrong, without being labelled as bossy.
It can be quite hard to just have the confidence to say what you're thinking and stuff like that, which I think mentally can also take quite a toll because it gets really exhausting.
Oftentimes, like after I've played a set out and about, I've had other young women come up to me and just say, that's amazing, like it's so nice to be able to look up and be like, wait, this person's playing really, really well, who are they? And see a female, because you don't often see that in clubs. So it's just really nice for there to be a little bit of diversity, I think.
But I think the representation is really important. So I hope that like seeing me doing things makes my female students feel like it's okay to do like these things. I mean, none of them have tried to do avant-garde electronic music yet, but you never know.
Then we had the gig, which was all females, and it was really nice to see like everyone coming together. It wasn't exclusive of men. It was just a step towards being more diverse by showing that there are people in Leeds who are female sound engineers, who are female backline techs, who are female drummers. We didn't want to exclude men at all, and it was really positive to see that there were men who wanted to turn up and support women. It's not an us against them, it's just more of a let's just show what we can do, and hopefully if we go a bit too far and over the top with women, the step back will be equality, really.
And we basically host workshops. We have our own radio show on Leeds Student Radio, and we host production workshops as well with local producers. And it's not for profit, of course. Membership costs a £5. And the main thing that I'm trying to push, definitely as president, is making electronic music more accessible to people who wouldn't have thought about it before, because so many of my female friends, they're really into electronic music, really into clubbing, and it just doesn't come as an idea to them to try to learn how to mix and learn how to DJ. And I think a lot of women are very apprehensive about it, and I think that's definitely been changing. It's changed so much since I was in my first year. But also hosting kind of women and non-binary mixing workshops. And I think it's just really nice to be able to have like lots of different facets in electronic music and be able to give everyone an opportunity to enjoy them.
So Come Play With Me, they have a record label as well, so they help hold hands with artists basically and go through the journey with them to get their music released, get it properly recorded, get it mastered, get merch, put gigs on. And then on the side they also have Come Platform Me, which is where I started promoting gigs with them. They do several rounds and they get people from all walks of life to come.
I'm the label manager at Come Play With Me. I look after all of the day-to-day with the record label and that side of stuff, and get to work with all of our exciting releases and artists. There was a couple of years ago, Tony, the director of Come Play With Me, nominated me for a Youth Music Award for Girls Do That Too, and also for the work that I was doing with I Know a Place and the label, and kind of building it into a bigger thing, supporting people with marginalised genders. And I was lucky enough to be the Entrepreneur of the Year in 2021, I think it was. And that's definitely by far like the biggest personal achievement I think so far. Insane being in a room with like Bicep and all these massive industry heads, and then just walking on stage and being like, wow, this is like being actually congratulated for stuff like that is, yeah, it's a great feeling.
One of the first kind of times I went out as a social group setting with my students in first year, all the musicians, we kind of said, oh, there's this really cool live music venue, let's all go together, and we kind of all went, and it was the Domino. It's one of the best jazz and blues live music venues in Yorkshire. I was just so blown away by the musicians there, and I like tears brought to my eyes just watching the performers, and I said to myself at the end of my university in 3 years' time, I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to play at that venue. And 3 months later, somehow it happened.
It's really lovely when you get sound engineers who go, of course, yeah, message me, network with me, we'll get you on the next tour. So that actually happened with Easy Life. So I saw them at Leadmill in Sheffield, and I went up to Perry and I was like, Perry, I want to be a sound engineer. He was like, oh my gosh, yeah. He was a bit drunk at the time, but his heart was in the right place. And actually I saw them a couple months ago behind the desk I was able to help set up, pack down. I made loads of networking connections. The band was so lovely.
And what I like is that before I came to Leeds, I would never even have imagined hosting an event in a nightlife space, just because I would feel like that's just for big companies only. And obviously it's just really taught me that literally if you're a group of friends and you want to host a night out, you're able to just contact a venue and make that happen. Obviously you have to work really hard for it, but it can be possible. And I think that's really unique about Leeds, because I don't really know many other cities that have that kind of culture, especially with the diversity in the genres of music.
On the shows I'm gonna